Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started.
Roman Reigns will compete in a blockbuster triple threat match against CM Punk and Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 41. This will mark his 10th WrestleMania main event, and the OTC would look to cap it off with a victory. However, he may not be able to stand tall in Las Vegas due to a shocking betrayal from one of his closest allies, a WWE icon. The Rock could cost Roman Reigns at the show of shows, ending their decade-long relationship in WWE. However, that may not be the biggest shocker. The final boss could reveal CM Punk as the third member of his group and help the latter win the triple threat match. The speculation arose due to the Hollywood icon's recent activities on Instagram. There have often been questions about his bond with the best in the world, especially given their bitter past. However, The Rock recently revealed that he and Punk share a very good relationship. This indicates that the two stars have buried the hatchet long ago. Therefore, it will not be a shocker if he joins forces with CM Punk, ushering in a new storyline. There were also rumors that the final boss could form a heel authority faction with John Cena and a few other stars, and Roman Reigns does not look like the one to join that. However, Punk could very well join the stable, leaving the WWE Universe stunned. The Rock costing Reigns his WrestleMania 41 match can also pave the way for their biggest blockbuster match. However, the scenario is entirely speculation and nothing can be said for sure. It also depends on what WWE has in store for the OTC at the upcoming spectacle. Roman Reigns' storyline with The Rock to begin after WrestleMania 41? The Rock vs. Roman Reigns is a match that has remained a fantasy for years. The wrestling world has been clamoring to witness the two icons share the ring. WrestleMania 42 could finally be where this match might happen. Reigns' storyline with the Great One could finally begin after this year's Mania. WWE could slowly start to sow the seeds of this blockbuster clash following the PLE. A year-long build would serve perfectly to cater to their rich history and everything that has been going around the bloodline. Besides, if The Rock costs the OTC his WrestleMania 41 match, that would mark a giant leap in this potential storyline. There is also a good possibility that WWE Universe could see a new chapter unfold in the Bloodline saga with the Hollywood icon's involvement. However, this is entirely speculation at this point. It remains to be seen what the future holds for Roman Reigns and The Rock. For over a decade, Roman Reigns has ruled WWE with an iron fist, amassing championship after championship and cementing himself as one of the most dominant figures in the company's history. But at WrestleMania 41, the unthinkable happened. The tribal chief fell, and the foundation of his empire crumbled in a shocking betrayal that changed WWE forever. The road to WrestleMania, a legacy at stake. As WrestleMania 41 approached, speculation swirled about who could finally dethrone Reigns. He had survived countless challenges, retained his title through bloodline interference, and established himself as an almost mythical figure in modern wrestling. Yet, whispers in the locker room hinted at growing cracks in his foundation. Paul Heyman, his advocate, strategist, and closest confidant, had remained silent through much of WrestleMania season, fueling rumors that something monumental was brewing. Cody Rhodes, the man who had fallen short against Reigns at WrestleMania 39, had clawed his way back into the title picture. However, this time, it wasn't just about finishing his story, it was about rewriting Reigns' own. The build-up to the match was intense, filled with personal animosity, heated promos, and a war of words that blurred the line between reality and kayfabe. But no one could have predicted the shocking moment that would seal Reigns' fate. Paul Heyman's decision, a decade-long partnership ends. For years, Paul Heyman had been the mastermind behind Roman Reigns' dominance. From the moment Reigns returned as the tribal chief in 2020, Heyman had orchestrated victories, manipulated opponents, and crafted a legacy unparalleled in the modern era. But at WrestleMania 41, in front of over 80,000 screaming fans, Heyman made a decision that stunned the world. He turned his back on Reigns. The match itself was a brutal, hard-hitting affair, with Reigns and Rhodes pushing each other to their absolute limits. Near the closing moments, Reigns prepared to hit one final spear to put Rhodes away. Heyman, standing at ringside, suddenly climbed onto the apron, drawing Reigns' attention. In that brief moment of hesitation, Rhodes countered, hitting Cross Rhodes not once, but 3 times. The unthinkable became reality. Roman Reigns was pinned at WrestleMania for the first time in nearly a decade. The aftermath, the bloodlines unraveling. As the bell rang, the entire stadium was in shock. Cody Rhodes celebrated, tears in his eyes, as fireworks exploded above the arena. Reigns, lying on the mat, barely processing what had happened, turned his gaze to Heyman. The wise man, for the first time in years, looked emotionless, no regret, no remorse, just cold calculation. Reigns struggled to his feet and confronted Heyman, demanding an explanation. But Heyman simply walked away, leaving Reigns standing alone in the ring, a sight the WWE Universe had never seen before. The cracks in the bloodline had been forming for months, but this was the final blow. With Heyman gone, the Usos already fractured, and Solo Sikoa potentially looking for his own path, Reigns' empire had finally collapsed. What's next for Roman Reigns? WrestleMania 41 marked the end of an era. Roman Reigns, the once untouchable force of WWE, now found himself without his championship, without his family, and without the man who had guided him to superstardom. The question loomed, what was next for the tribal chief? Would he go into exile, licking his wounds and plotting revenge? Would he seek redemption and attempt to reclaim his throne without Heyman's guidance? Or was this truly the end of Roman Reigns as we knew him? One thing was certain, WWE would never be the same again. Roman Reigns to align with biggest WWE rival? 4 Samoan stars the tribal chief could recruit for a new bloodline. Roman Reigns has been left on his own in WWE since War Games, as the Usos are now fighting their own battles, and Solo Sikoa is having issues within his own family. Reigns is looking at the possibility that he could be screwed by his own family at WrestleMania if Paul Heyman turns against him, which could spark a new hunt for bloodline members. If Roman Reigns was to reform the bloodline, several WWE names are up to the job. 4. Tamina Snuka. Whilst it appears to be a long shot, Tamina Snuka is a member of the Anoa'i family and could be brought back to WWE by Roman Reigns. She was integral in helping the bloodline backstage when they first came together, but hasn't been seen on screen for several years. If Reigns were to create a new bloodline, he could decide to add a female to ensure that they have all bases covered and would be able to choose between Tamina, Nia Jax, and Naomi. 3. Lance Anoa'i. Lance Anoa'i has finally been recruited by WWE and is currently part of NXT. This is the same way that Solo Sikoa debuted before he was called up to join the family, and Reigns could once again decide to recruit from NXT and bring Lance up to the main roster to be part of his new stable. Lance has been a big supporter of Reigns, and if he brings him up to SmackDown, then he would owe the tribal chief, and it would make him a loyal supporter. 2. Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu is set to do some big things in WWE after being brought in by Solo Sikoa. Fatu has already proved that he now does his own thing and is no longer loyal to Solo Sikoa, and as the old saying goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Perhaps if Fatu is now against Solo, he could be persuaded to work with Roman Reigns, and the two men could make a whole new family and be unstoppable in WWE. 1. Solo Sikoa could return to Roman Reigns' side. Solo Sikoa did have the backing of his family at one point, but his bloodline has been ripped apart in recent weeks. If he and Fatu collide at WrestleMania, and he comes up short, it could be Solo returning to Reigns with his tail between his legs. Sikoa owes a lot to Reigns, and the two men could find common ground again if the Usos are busy with their own things and are unable to help Reigns in his next endeavor. The WWE Universe has been abuzz with speculation regarding Roman Reigns' return to SmackDown. After losing his undisputed WWE Universal Championship at WrestleMania 40, the tribal chief has been noticeably absent, allowing the bloodline, now led by Solo Sikoa, to spiral into chaos. With Jacob Fatu's arrival and The Rock's interference, the once mighty faction stands divided. But could Roman Reigns return and shock the world by aligning with an unexpected rival while forging a new version of the bloodline? Here are 4 Samoan stars who could join him in this shocking new chapter. 1. Jey Uso, the prodigal son returns? One of the most unexpected yet poetic additions to a revamped bloodline would be Jey Uso. Jey's history with Roman is complicated, to say the least. He was the first member Reigns forced into submission when forming the bloodline, and their battles have been legendary. However, Jey's SmackDown departure to Raw last year allowed him to forge his own path. If Roman were to realign with Jey, it could signify a new approach, one built on respect rather than fear. With Solo Sikoa growing more ruthless by the week and aligning himself with Paul Heyman, Jacob Fatu, and Tonga Loa, Jey might be the one person Roman can trust to help him reclaim his family's legacy. Imagine a Roman-Jey reunion where the two take down the new, vicious iteration of the bloodline together. 2. Tama Tonga, the wild card. If Roman Reigns wants to inject fresh energy into a new bloodline, he might look no further than Tama Tonga. The Bullet Club legend has already stepped into the WWE spotlight, aligning with Solo Sikoa's faction. However, Tama's unpredictable nature could make him an ideal recruit for Reigns if he is convinced that Solo is steering the family in the wrong direction. Tama's hard-hitting style and aggressive demeanor match Roman's old-school Samoan wrestling dominance. Should Reigns return with an offer for Tama to abandon Solo and help him reclaim his rightful place, we could see a civil war within the bloodline unlike anything WWE has ever witnessed. This could set the stage for an epic battle between Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu, should the new bloodline split down the middle. 3. Zilla Fatu, the next generation. If Roman Reigns is looking to build a bloodline for the future, bringing in Zilla Fatu, the son of the late great Umaga, would be a powerful statement. Zilla, currently rising through the ranks on the independent circuit, carries the same ferocity that made his father one of the most feared men in WWE. A new bloodline led by Roman could serve as the perfect platform for Zilla's debut. Given his familial ties, his arrival would not only honor Umaga's legacy but also establish him as a key player in the Samoan dynasty's future. With a mentor like Reigns guiding him, Zilla could rapidly ascend the ranks, bringing fresh energy and unpredictability to a revamped faction. 4. Jacob Fatu, a shocking alliance? Perhaps the most shocking yet intriguing possibility would be Roman Reigns recruiting his most dangerous adversary, Jacob Fatu. The powerhouse recently debuted on SmackDown, aligning himself with Solo Sikoa's bloodline. A brutal enforcer with an unmatched blend of athleticism and raw power, Jacob is already proving why he is a force to be reckoned with. But what if Roman convinces Jacob that he, not Solo, is the rightful head of the table? This could create an intense power struggle, with Jacob forced to decide between Solo's leadership and Roman's championship-driven vision. If Roman manages to sway Jacob to his side, he would instantly gain an unstoppable force to challenge Solo's control over the faction. The Samoan werewolf under Reigns' command could be the ultimate game-changer, leading to a historic showdown at a future WrestleMania. The final verdict: is a new bloodline imminent? Roman Reigns' return to SmackDown is inevitable, but his next move remains unpredictable. If he seeks to reclaim dominance, aligning with a former rival, or forging alliances with fresh Samoan talent, could be his best strategy. Whether he recruits Jey Uso for a poetic reunion, Tama Tonga for a wild-card twist, Zilla Fatu for the next generation, or Jacob Fatu for an explosive betrayal, one thing is clear: the bloodline story is far from over. Could Reigns shock the world by forming a new bloodline? WWE fans may soon witness history as the tribal chief reasserts his claim to the throne.